Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Donna Meyer, and I'm the CEO and firm owner of Action Coach of Coastal Bend in beautiful South Texas, and I will be your host for today. I am very excited to have our special guest, Christian Myers, on our show. Christian is the founder and chief product officer of Terra Arma. Today, we're going to speak with Christian about his business, his journey to business ownership, some challenges, of course, successes, and to have him share what it's really like to own and operate a business as an entrepreneur. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications when we publish awesome new content. Well, Christian, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me today, Donna. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
You bet. Well, let's start off by having you take a moment to share a little bit about yourself, your business, and how your journey started.
Yeah, so my business journey started while I was in the Air Force, actually. So I joined the Air Force right out of high school. I was looking for, I'd done a semester of college right out of high school, and I didn't really enjoy it. Felt like I was kind of spinning my wheels, and I was still local to home, and I wanted to get out and travel and explore and have some experience. So I ended up joining the Air Force, and that took me all over the world. I've done multiple combat deployments over in the Middle East and in Africa. I've gone everywhere from Alaska to like I said, the Middle East and Africa. So I've got to experience some pretty interesting things over my career. And especially being in combat, between special operations and aviation, I had some pretty unique experiences. Uh, and that's actually what led me to my business journey. So during my second combat deployment overseas, we were issued these basic cotton T-shirts. They were just these crappy cotton T-shirts. They had seams up on the top of the shoulders. And when you're loaded down, right? So you have a vest, you have your bulletproof vest on, you've got magazines on the front of that. I had a ruck on, I had my weapons. So you've got, 60, 70, 80 pounds of gear loading down right on top of your shoulders pretty much all the time. I was out on a really, really long mission. It was about 57 hours or so. So, pretty extended mission. And during that
Wow.
time, that weight with the seams from the crappy cotton T-shirts, it ended up eating through my shoulder. Um,
Oh, ouch.
yeah, and I was only about a month into a 6-month deployment. So I had this, it's not an impactful wound. It's not something that's devastating by any means, but it's distracting. And coming from the job position that I had where I did combat search and rescue. So my job is to save other people's lives, right?
Okay.
I need to be focused so that I can save people's lives. And basically every day that I went out after that, I had this distracting injury in my shoulder and became just worse and worse. So in preparation for my third deployment after that, started doing research on what base layers are available. Is there something, modern, alternative, not just these scratchy cotton T-shirts that they're issuing us? Is somebody taking like Lululemon, for instance, who's just coming around at that time and applying materials like that to the military, or even as little as Nike or Under Armour, like some basic improvements? Nobody was really doing anything. So during that deployment, I spent the entire time learning about textiles and manufacturing within the United States, how to develop technical patterns or technical packs, how to draw out patterns, how to do basic sewing. I learned basically everything I possibly could, and then I saved up every dollar from that deployment. I had put all my bills on hold, and every dollar that I made from that deployment, I dumped into the business when I got home, into creating a base layer that was modern, functional, that met the requirements for the military. And that's really, really how I got into business, was just out of a necessity.
That is fantastic. What a story about that journey of starting it. So, along with that, you probably made some mistakes as you were learning all these new things about how I can make a superior product in the field. So, what do you think some of your biggest mistakes were, and then what you learned from
Yeah, so I made a lot of mistakes along the way, like everyone does.
them?
My biggest point has always been to surround yourself with mentors and learn from their mistakes, right? Yeah. Find somebody who's in your position 5 years ahead of you, 10 years ahead of you, somebody who's done it already. And it doesn't have to be within the same exact line, but obviously learn as many mistakes from people who have committed them and
Yeah.
pivot, right? Early. That's always my spiel on mistakes. Personally, yes, I've made a number of them, and that's everything from being overcommitting on manufacturing, being in a consumer products good business, which is rare in these days. Most people are focused on SaaS or software-based businesses or
Hmm.
service-based businesses, things like that. Having a consumer product good, you're in a bit of a different environment. So mistakes that I've made, anything from like I said, over investing in manufacturing or over committing and trusting them a little too much, and placing your trust in other people without full verification of their background or their abilities too, right? A lot of people do the fake it till you make it thing, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard to sniff that out, especially in American manufacturing, which is dying. It's an unfortunate truth, but American manufacturing is all but dwindled to about 2% of what it once was.
Wow.
There's very, very few people in the space, and the people that are in the space, it's almost impossible to verify who they are, what they've done. You just have to take them at face value almost. And that's something that I learned the hard way, was taking somebody at face value who, they sold me a bill of goods. They said that they could accomplish X, Y, and Z. And 6 months, well after the agreed upon delivery time, nothing showed up. I'd spent all this money and nothing showed up. So I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do about this? So you can sometimes have very costly mistakes. And my biggest suggestion is to just try to verify as deep as possible. Get some background on the people that you're working with, especially if you're planning on partnering with them in the future for the long term. Really dive in deep on their background, their history, the people that they've interacted with, and try to get as much information as you possibly can. But don't let that obviously stop your timeline either, right? There's always a balance to it.
You bet. Well, that just leads to credibility of that statement, trust but verify,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. Do your due diligence to make sure that you're working with the right people.
Yeah, that's the proper
Look,
nomenclature for business, right?
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Due diligence, DD. So, as you think about your mistakes, and then I would say, what is your biggest aha moment since becoming a chief product officer?
Biggest aha moment. Uh, I think there's something that we have in aviation. So I spent a long time in aviation that we call the halo effect, and that is, say you're a junior person flying with a senior pilot, right? When they say something and it's wrong, you have an inclination to not tell them that they're wrong because you think that they might know better, right? They could say something
Hmm.
clearly incorrect, and it's incorrect, and you say, well, he's got a lot more experience than me. Maybe he is right. And that right there can be a very big problem. And when you come to the realization that a lot of people who are further ahead than you, a lot of people who have already made it, if you're just starting in your journey, they might not actually know better than you. And that's something that it can be really hard to determine. It can be really hard to pick out. Maybe they're wrong, maybe they're right. You have to kind of make that decision. But I've had that happen a couple times now where I was speaking to people who were much, much further ahead than me. And I'm like, wow, they just made the most simple mistake. I think, like, well, I don't know why they would make that decision, or how they're capable of making that mistake. But lending too much credibility to people, I think, or just trusting them a little bit too much. Like, that was kind of my aha moment, is, oh, maybe they don't always know better. Maybe maybe I do know what I'm talking about, that type of thing. But that comes with education too, making sure that you're educating yourself appropriately, so that when they do say something incorrect, you're like, hang on now, like, I know that you're actually wrong here. Um, so I think that might be my biggest aha moment, is just recognizing that people aren't, just because they're further ahead doesn't always mean that they're right.
That's valid. That's valid. And we're always learning, right? If we're not growing, we're dying. So we got
Yeah.
to keep up to speed. You betcha. So let's look out 5 years. What are your aspirations for this company looking out 5 years?
Yeah, so we're about 3.5 years old right now. So we were founded in
Okay.
2021. And since that time, we've grown dramatically. We've grown into nearly 400 retail stores across the globe. So we're on pretty much every military base across the U.S. and across the globe. So any U.S. military installation, whether that's Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and we'll be moving on to some Coast Guard bases as well. So we've grown quite a bit. We've managed very, very large government contracts, and we've established our own manufacturing footprint here in San Antonio. So we're partnered with a pretty amazing organization that utilizes all blind and visually impaired labor to manufacture our products. We're a company that is one of one. We are the only for-profit business that serves the government in the way that we do, and nonprofit organizations that utilizes 100% blind and visually impaired labor. So in a very short amount of time, we've made some huge strides. And that's just where we're at with the 3.5 year mark. So 5 years from now, we have some very, very lofty plans, some very lofty goals. The impetus of this brand is, we want to serve the service member at the end of the day. It's not about making
Yeah.
money for us. It's, obviously there's a profit benefit, but at the end of the day, it's about serving service members through clothing, through donations to the various nonprofits that we work with, and enabling them is the best that we can. So the 5 years from now, our plan is to be on the backs of every service member in the United States, and ideally with some of our NATO allies as well. So we want to serve, we want to be the base layer, we want to be the uniform provider, and we want to be one of the leading textile manufacturers in the United States, as well as pushing on the technology side. So we focus a lot on fabric technology, and we've got some really, really cool stuff that we have patent pending. So some cool stuff that you'll see over the coming months and coming years that we've been working on very diligently. And I think us being a leader in the textile space and the American manufacturing space is what our big 5 year plan is. We want to be somewhat of a household name in that regard.
Well, you're in the right place, and with the push to do more American manufacturing, you're definitely in the right place. So bright things ought to be ahead for you. So, and using that workforce, that's tremendous. So congratulations for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been exciting so far.
So you mentioned early on about the importance of mentors and having the right mentors in your life. When you think about success, who comes to mind for you and why?
Good question. Well, one of my business partners, so I have two business partners in Terra Arma. One is David Reed, who came on first. So I'm the original founder of Terra Arma. I brought on one of my best friends for my entire life, actually. He was a second battalion ranger in the Army who lost his leg in Afghanistan. So he's gone through his own trials and tribulations. He did about 4 years in the Army and then got into business after that with our other partner, who is celebrity chef Robert Irvine, if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah, I love Robert. He's hardcore.
He is. Yeah, he absolutely is. He's a very hardcore individual. But the three of us, we all work together now to progress Terra Arma and to push it forward. But those two guys are definitely who I would consider my mentors, and in their own right. Dave and I have known each other for almost 20 years now. We went to high school together, believe it or not, and then we were able to make it work to where we balance out each other's skill sets, and we pick up where the other is kind of faulty. And then Robert comes into the mix with a plethora of business experience. He's obviously a international business mogul, if you will. He's well over 10 businesses that he's involved in that are all incredibly successful in their own regard. So I'm able to take mentorship and advice and to learn from both of these individuals on, both what to do and what not to do, right? They both have traits that I aspire to, and they both have traits that I might not like so much. So I learn what I want to take from that and how I want to piece that together with my own form of leadership or my own form of business leadership, I suppose. So those two guys are, my mentors, my friends, confidants, if you will. And I'm proud to be able to work with both of them.
That's amazing. Amazing individuals. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you think about your product line, talking about textiles and then the manufacturing of clothing kind of in decline, what do you believe differentiates yourself from others that are strong players in the industry?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the strong players in the industry are all public businesses, right? So they're all publicly traded, and the issue with an incredibly large publicly traded consumer product good business is you cannot add customers beyond a certain point. So how do you save money and increase that bottom line for your shareholders every year? Well, you reduce cost, and where does that come from? Well, there's only so many logistic streamlines that you can do before you have to start cutting it from your product development and from your product creation. Right? What does that leave you with? Well, it leaves you with a worse product at the end of the day, and a continually worse product at the end of the day. What sets us apart is we have no problem spending an appropriate amount, sometimes a little bit too much, on raw materials, on manufacturing, on quality control to ensure that we do have the best possible product. Every fabric that we make is 100% custom, made in-house. So we don't use anything off the shelf. We're not using standard cottons. We're not using standard polyesters. We're using stuff that we make in-house, made from all reclaimed, recycled, or organic materials. So we put our, we put our
Wow.
money where our mouth is. Sustainability is very big to us. We're a little bit crunchy granola, if you will. Unfortunately, the textile space is one of the leading contributors of pollution in the
Mm.
world, especially in the Asian markets. Textile
Right.
produces a substantial amount of pollution. Well, we try to mitigate that by utilizing closed circuit water systems to where the chemicals that we're using and processing are not leaching out into the environment and poisoning other people. We're making sure that we're utilizing fabrics that are PFAS free, right? I'm sure you've heard of the forever chemicals, and those are starting to be it's starting to be relative to people forming forms of cancer or having endocrine system issues. We're trying to completely do away with that, all while maintaining American-based manufacturing. The combination of those things is very, very difficult, just to say the least. That's everything from, we source our raw materials, and we have hold of them through the entire process up to the delivery to the customer. It's very, very unique. Nobody else does that. Most people are utilizing,
Wow.
3PL services, or they're outsourcing to subcontractors. We do everything pretty much in-house. And for us to take the focus and to, like I said, put our money where our mouth is, it really sets us apart from the competition. And how that sets us up for the future. Well, if the competition wants to take us on and try to do the same thing we're doing, well, good luck. They've already, we've already talked about they need to reduce their cost. And if they wanted to do any one of the, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things that I just listed, it would cost them a tremendous amount to where they'd start losing money. And they're just unwilling to lose money. Us, on the other hand, we care about our customer at the end of the day. So as long as we're maintaining that, the net profitability, but the customer is happy, the customer is getting exactly what they need, then we're doing the right thing. And that's ultimately what sets us apart.
That's fantastic. So if you think about, where you're at and where the others are at in this space, what excites you most about your future in this business?
Um, a couple different areas. For me, product development is my favorite part. I'm the original founder. I spent the first little while as the CEO before Dave came on board. Um, and I really wanted to focus. My strengths are not in the high level maestroing of all the day-to-day operations. My strengths are really in product development, and that's the engineering side. That is textile creation, that is pattern development, and that is making sure that the geometries work. And we're utilizing modern materials. We're utilizing some really cool stuff that nobody else has even considered to utilize in the garment technology space. And that excites me. We're making, I get to pull something out of my brain and make it a reality now. For me, it's so
That's
much.
incredible.
Yeah, it's exciting. There's a little bit of art, there's a little bit of engineering to it. So for me, it keeps things fresh. And it gives me an opportunity to continually revamp and recycle the products to ensuring that they are, on V2, V3, V4, the absolute best thing that the customer could want. So that's one of the most exciting things for me. And that being said, we have a fantastic team too. We have a very lean team, and we'll be able to grow this business dramatically while maintaining a fairly lean team and bringing on people that share our values, who are ultimately just good people at the end of the day, and being able to support them and help them grow on their journeys is also very exciting for me. We want to create a family for the future, and I'm not a huge fan of saying business is family, because there's some lines that can be crossed, but I think we do have a very good business family, and being able to help everyone go forward together is also incredibly exciting to me.
Love that. Love that. If you could do this all over again, what would you do differently? Or would you do anything differently?
You know, I think about that question a lot, and obviously, Dave and I run a podcast as well, so we ask that question quite often, right? We talk to injured folks, who have stepped on IEDs, who have been shot, who have been blown up, and their lives are forever changed. They're either amputees or they're
Mm.
quadriplegics, paraplegics. And we always ask them that question too, just to get a sense of where they're at mentally. Like, would you change anything? And the question is almost unequivocally always a no. Even if they're missing 2 limbs or 3 limbs or they're quadriplegic, they're like, no, I like where my life is at right now. I like where I'm at right now. And without the struggles that we've had and without the mistakes that I made and without the hardships, I wouldn't be where I'm at or who I'm at today. And I'm always, I always relegate myself to consider that. Like, yeah, a lot of the struggles, they sucked. A lot of the mistakes, I
Yeah.
really wish I didn't make them. They've been times. They've cost a lot of money. They've cost a lot of time, a lot of stress. But ultimately, where we're at today, we wouldn't be here if we hadn't made those mistakes, if we hadn't learned the hard way. So yeah, I think I would have done it exactly the same way. I think could have done things a little bit more efficiently. you know,
Course.
ultimately, but where we're at today, the direction that we're going, yeah, I think we would have done it the same exact way.
Fantastic. Great answer. What is the best way for folks to get in contact with you? They want to learn more about your business or your products.
Yeah, through social platforms is the best. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can reach out to me on social media, or I'm reluctant to give my email out typically, but you can reach me on social media. I think we'll probably, I don't know if we'll include handles on here, but it's
Yeah.
jolly.christian on all my social media channels. You can reach me directly, or if you want to follow along with Terra Arma, it's just at Terra Arma, TerraArma on pretty much all social channels and through our website as well. We have contact forms on there. And we're a different organization. We really try to engage in our local community and as well as our greater veteran, first responder, and outdoor communities. We want to tie people together. I think a lot of what we're missing today is that community aspect and people that you can share
Yeah.
your life with, share your interests with, share your hardships with, that type of thing. And so we've started our Terra Arma Adventure Club is what we call it. So once a month we get together, we have an outdoor hike or workout or some sort of hard physical activity, and it is open to all ages and ranges too. So
Mhm.
if you're a peak physical specimen, or if this is your very first time ever doing any sort of physical exercise, you are more than welcome to join. It can be modified, and the idea is to just do something hard together and then spend time talk about it, have food after, talk about what's going on in our lives once a month. And this is, I think it's making some pretty big strides and changes in the way that we approach community. And it's also a much better way to get in touch with folks too, right? So we have a pretty cool community, and that's one of the easiest ways to get a hold of us in person is to come to one of our events, get to know who we are, get to know who the business is as individuals, and get to know who the supporters are, because you might be surprised with what you share with people.
Love that. Love that. That's amazing. Well, Christian, I just sincerely appreciate you sharing your story. It's been very insightful. I will also say very humbling. And I hope folks take away a lot of great information and take this to heart, what you said and what you're doing. This is a Business Spotlight series with Donna Meyer from Action Coach and Christian Myers from Terra Arma. Please be sure to like and subscribe so that you can continue to see our great content and this amazing content. Thank you, Christian, for being on our show today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Don. I really enjoyed the time.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for what you're doing.